Hey, Merriment Makers, welcome back to the Merriment Making Podcast, where we embrace joy, creativity, and unapologetic self-love. I am Mary England, your host and self-proclaimed weirdo and biggest cheerleader. And today we're going to talk about something that I really think is important, embracing your inner weirdo. So if you've ever felt like you didn't quite fit in, have been misunderstood, or have been called alternative, or quirky, different, or even strange, this episode is definitely for you. And the thing is that what makes you all of those things unique is what makes you powerful. And today we're going to celebrate that. So let's talk about what it means to be a weirdo first. I know that there's a lot of different feelings about this word, and I don't think about it as being a negative thing. I think it's a great thing. I honestly kind of get off on it. I think it's really about owning the parts of yourself that stand out, your quirks, your passions, your unique perspective, and the way that you look at the world, your different experiences. And I think that you can really reframe the narrative around being different. You know, society often pressures us to fit into neat little boxes. You have to be able to fit underneath of a label, or only one label, to look a certain way, to act a certain way, to follow a specific path. And I think, fitting in doesn't really always lead to joy. I think that knowing what feels right for you does. And sometimes for a lot of people, standing out does. As much as being weird can feel upsetting, because when we are growing up, there is something in us biologically that doesn't want things to be different. There is a part of our brains, a part of our physiology that wants to stay connected with our tribe. So when something is different, that means it is maladaptive. It means that it's not okay. When something stands out, that means point it out. It means look at that. It means danger. It means fear. It means that's not okay. If something's a threat to your survival, that's why you pay attention to it. When you have the inclination, the biology, or the strength to know or be something different, it's very likely that someone or a lot of people are going to point that out in you. So a lot of us have these feelings and past experiences of being pointed out, essentially, of being told that we are different. And that means that we are, quote unquote, too much and not enough in all of these different ways. But whether you can control the way that you're different or that you chose the way that you are different, your individuality is a source of strength. And when you embrace it, you're not really just giving yourself permission to live a different life, a more interesting one, a more bright life. You're also inspiring others to do the same thing. When you think about all of the people that inspire you, all the people that you admire, there is something different about them. There is something in me and a lot of people that really gets off and relishes the feeling of standing out and even being misunderstood, because there's this sense of getting to prove yourself, of getting to prove other people wrong. And also, when you stand out, you get to kind of show other people you deserve to be here in this different way. And there's something to be said for that. In certain ways, at certain points in your life, it can definitely boost your confidence. However, I think the ego wants this to happen in some ways, and over time, you will realize that standing out doesn't create your worth either. Standing out isn't what makes you a good, bad, or worthy person either. The only thing that really determines who you are is your character, your values, and your alignment with them. However, if you decide that you want to embrace what makes you different, I don't know that there's really any other way to do that. And also, there's no reason to feel like you need to stand out in all ways. That if there's something that is more common about you, that that is something to be admonished. The only way for someone to stand out is for there to be a majority of something. So every time that I feel kind of down or negative about the drudgery or the monotony of a khaki department store, or how bland I feel the walls of something are, or the discussion is, or anything really, I remind myself that if it wasn't for this level of something, this baseline, that I wouldn't have the opportunity to shine. So without the standard, there wouldn't be the ability to be a weirdo. Research shows that people who embrace their authentic selves report much higher levels of happiness and fulfillment. When you stop trying to conform, you really free up so much mental energy to just be. And that's where joy lives, in authenticity of just who you are. But that can be scary. You know, embracing your uniqueness can feel really scary. Like I mentioned, you may have been judged for it in the past, and you may have been told to tone yourself down. And I have definitely been there. I still get made fun of for the way that I dress. And there are plenty of things that I have hidden that make me different. And I thought that they were flaws. Some of them are mental health symptoms, disorders. And when we look back, we realize that this is kind of what is referred to as masking behavior, things that we stop and force ourselves to stop doing, or we hide the behavior, or we only do it in private so that we can fit in. And I think part of embracing yourself is to realize that these flaws, and sure, if we want to call them flaws, that's fine. And this is based on the standard or the baseline of what is common in a basic human package, right? But that's what's making me me, and your flaws are what are making you you. And without those flaws, you don't have the experiences and the strength and the knowledge that come with them. So what if you start leaning into them? What if you start educating yourself on what those mean for you, what you've learned from them, the perspective that you've gained from them? And when you do that, your life starts to feel a lot more like yours. An exercise that you can do is to think about something that makes you unique. And I know that examples might feel like a hobby that you love, or collecting something, or the way that you laugh, right? But I know that for a lot of people that you might not actually know what makes you unique. You might not really know what is authentically you because you have felt like you needed to hide for so long. And that's okay. We can't do anything about what's happened before, whether you are 15 or 25 or 55 or 75, it doesn't matter. I want you to decide right now that how you are is how you are. And whether you have a physical disability, a mental disorder, a really weird laugh, a different hair pattern, a strange desire to, I don't know, any kind of strange desire, a want of a different kind of love than you've seen before. What is it that you want, really? You know, there's things that we have, like I said, that you can control and things that you can't control. And maybe even the wants, the desires are arguably things you can't control either. So think about the things that you don't feel like you had a say in, right? Like things that are physical. We're making you unique physically. And then think about the things that maybe, let's say, more intellectual. What is it that you want? What are the desires that you have that are a little different than what someone else wants? And maybe you don't even listen to what other people want. Just right now, what is it that you want? What do you wish that you could have? And a really good exercise is to just imagine that I come to you with a magic fairy godmother wand and I say, I'm going to give you one wish and I'm going to boop you on the nose. And then in the morning, you can have one thing completely changed. What is it that you want? And then name it and say it out loud and claim it. And what is it that you would want to change and fix and feel differently, right? And when I say fix, I mean allow yourself to have, to be, to feel. Is it that you want to do something without judgment, to feel safe doing something, to wear something, to have something, to love someone? What is it? When you embrace your quirks, you start attracting people who actually appreciate the real you. You create deeper connections. You stop living on autopilot. You stop living in fear and you start living on purpose. And isn't that really what we're striving for? So some practical ways to do this, to embrace your inner weirdo and make it a source of joy and empowerment. Number one, clothing. One of the easiest ways to celebrate who you are and your uniqueness is to wear your personality, to put on an outfit that makes you feel like a walking exclamation point, even if it's just a little out of the box. There are so many people when I talk to them in coaching that are scared to just wear a hat or lipstick or weird funky socks, bold patterns. Let your clothes tell the world this is who I am. I promise you it's not going to be that bad. It really isn't. And over time you will build thick skin to glances. But most of the time, like, it's really not going to be that bad. The worst thing that I've really ever had happen to me as an adult is people like giggling at me. And I really know that what that means is that they are scared to be themselves as well. And they wish that they could, or that they've been told that this is what they should do. And that all of that is sad, but it doesn't mean that I am going to stop or that I should. And it's definitely not worth it. And most of the time, what actually happens is that I get people that compliment me and that they say, oh my gosh, yes. And that it inspires them, they tell me this, to do what they want to do, whether that's actually wearing clothes or just doing something for them on a random Tuesday. The second idea is to create your own traditions. So your traditions don't have to follow the norm. Your lifestyle doesn't have to follow the norm. Anything that you do just really is meant to be your own truth. If going to college and getting married and having a child and owning a home are things that feel good for you, or any of those feel right for you, then do those things. But you certainly do not have to, and you do not have to do them in that order. One of the traditions that I have is getting my photo taken with the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus, and I am in my mid-30s. I do that every year. It's one of my favorite things that I do. Am I one of the only adults in the line without children every year? Yeah, absolutely. Does that stop me? No. You can start a little tradition that's meaningful to you. Maybe it's just like eating waffles on Wednesdays, or doing a little dance every time you accomplish something, or starting something yearly, annual, or going out once a month with yourself on a solo date. That's something that I really recommend. The third thing you can do is to share what you love, talk about the things that you enjoy, even and especially if they are not mainstream. If you have a favorite book or a niche interest or a unique skill, talking about what you're passionate about not only will make you happier, but it helps other people. It educates them. It inspires them. Sometimes they're going to actually be really interested in what it is that you are talking about. And sometimes it's just like going to tell them, oh yeah, I can talk about what I care about too. Really, all of these are just ways for you to be who you are. Being your authentic self is one of the kindest things that you can do for you and other people. When you show up as yourself, you give other people around you permission to do the same thing. And if you want to take it a step further, you can try spreading kindness in a way that feels fun for you. I love doing guerrilla art and performance art and street art. That's something that feels really fun for me because I love interacting with strangers. And that's a form of, I don't even want to call it pain because it's not for me at all, but for a lot of other people it is. And Liz Gilbert talks about the shit sandwich that you want to eat for the rest of your life. And Tim Ferriss talks about it's Mark Manson, or maybe it's both, speak about, what pain can you endure for the rest of your life? Instead of speaking about what passion do you want to have, what pain are you willing to endure, right? And I think about sometimes how my ability to interact with strangers with no fear is something that is very unique. My ability to be silly on the side of the road with no fear or shame is very helpful in a lot of ways. What is something that you can do through kindness that can be really effective and helpful? Because your way of spreading merriment is needed. Your lens is very powerful. And that's why in the Merriment Making Method, we talk about feeling good to doing good. And we have the Embody Joy modules where you learn how to embrace yourself through embodiment and fun and weirdness. And then in the create modules, you go on to figure out what exactly you're passionate about and how to create through that lens. And then in the spread modules, you're able to go out back into your communities and spread joy and kindness through things like guerrilla art and altruism and being your authentic self. And that's why I really love this method and ethos that I have created, and what I really believe sets my method apart from other self-love methods. And that's another way that I think that I'm unique, to make sure that self-love doesn't end with self-love, that it's not selfish, that it connects back into the community. Okay, my merriment makers, it's time for the merriment moment. So this week, I want you to pick one way to express your quirks. It could be through an outfit that screams that it's you, a fun activity like creating a playlist and releasing the idea of guilty pleasure songs, or starting a conversation about something you love but don't talk about. And you can even do that online. And if you feel inspired, snap a photo, write about it, share it online, and tag me at Merriment Maker and use the hashtag Merriment Making. I love seeing how you all bring your unique selves into the world. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Your uniqueness is your superpower. The world doesn't need more people trying to blend in. It needs you just as you are. So go out there and let your weird flag fly high. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave me a review, and if you want to share it, that would be great. You can share it with someone who could use a little encouragement to embrace their quirks. And as always, you have to feel good to do good. Until next time, stay joyful, stay weird, and keep making merriment.